Good morning. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. This is the winter wonderland here in our office. I finally was able to decorate, and welcome to all of you. Today, we're going to talk about the surge here in the coronavirus. We're going to talk about the vaccine. This is a live Q&A day. So Fridays are live Q&A session where I will be answering your questions live. YouTube, the chat on, and Instagram, the chat is on as well. And badges and super chats are on. So if you guys want to contribute to our community, you're more than welcome to do so. I appreciate that. And let's see, I just want to make sure we've got the strongest signal here on YouTube. So welcome all of you. I will be responding to a lot of questions that came through yesterday and then also this morning and during the live. So let's dig into where we're at here, and then we'll get to the latter part of the show, which is our Q&A. So worldwide, we're at 6.6 million cases. The US is at 15.7 million cases. We added 204,000, just over 204,000 new cases yesterday. The previous day, we had 222,000 cases. And yesterday was a bad day in terms of fatalities. We had 2,907 fatalities. And the day before, we had over, I think, 3,100 fatalities. We are now every day surpassing Pearl Harbor fatality numbers, and we're exceeding 9/11 numbers. And so that's something that I want to highlight just to put things in perspective. 2,400 people died at Pearl Harbor. That's a national holiday. We mourn that loss of life. And also 9/11 is a holiday that we mourn the loss of life. And 2,700 fatalities came from 9/11. We are now going to be posting those on a daily basis. And the expectation, CDC director said that he expects those death tolls to exceed those daily, for us to exceed those death tolls on a daily basis through the next 60 days. So we are going to buckle up, friends. The other thing I want to highlight is that we are seeing internationally a whole bunch of things happening. The Swiss have imposed lockdowns. They now have a 7 p.m. lockdown of restaurants and shops and things that are going to be social gathering points. This is through the holiday season. The French Sanofi and GlaxoSmithKline at GSK, that vaccine is delayed by a full year. They're pushing the delay to 2021. They did not show the immune response they had hoped for in elderly patients. And then Australia has abandoned their vaccine after false positive HIV results. So I don't know what happened with that, but that is tabled. And the latest news internationally about the vaccine, the Chinese COVID-19 vaccine, is showing 86% efficacy. The vaccine here that had approval, or it hasn't been approved, I just want to highlight that. We'll get more into that. But we're showing greater percentages of efficacy. Okay, so the other thing I want to highlight is the Institute of Health and Metrics and Evaluations. They've projected that by April 1st, we should see 550,000 fatalities in total due to COVID-19. I want to highlight some states that are in a world of pain right now. Ohio has passed Georgia in the total quantity of cases. They're at 531,850 cases. So they are over the 500,000 mark. They, since Monday, have had 75,000 new positive cases of COVID just in Ohio. I know we've got Pat and some other folks that live in Ohio, so you guys probably are way more tuned into this than we are just domestically, but Ohio is really on the increase. The other thing, Georgia did exceed the 500,000 mark. So we are at, here in Georgia, 506,000. There are 9 states that have had massive fatalities in the last 7 days. And the fatality ratio is taken out of every, quantity of fatalities per 100,000 residents. And the number one is the state of Ohio. Ohio is leading the fatality charge. Next up is South Dakota. They have seen, again, continuing increases of fatalities. North Dakota, Wyoming, Illinois, Arkansas, Kansas, New Mexico, and Rhode Island. They have a total of 107,000 people hospitalized right now. That keeps increasing. Challenge right now are bed spaces, beds available, as well as staffing challenges. And I just heard, part of my pre-naturopathic days, I was in the world of healthcare and healthcare staffing. And apparently the big challenge right now is healthcare staffing companies are increasing their prices to hospital systems and pharmacies for all sorts of reasons. Folks that are doing COVID testing, those prices for those temporary staff has increased. Same with nursing. That is also posing a challenge. Not only do they not have enough quantity of folks, that demand is increasing the pricing, and it's putting a financial burden on these systems. I'm drinking high-octane keto coffee this morning. Okay, next up, I want to highlight that with the hospitalizations, we have 200 hospitals across the U.S. that are totally full, 100% full. Many have exceeded 100% capacity. A third of our hospitals, a third of all U.S. hospitals are almost out of space. 90% of their ICUs are at capacity. Idaho is now pushed to have mobile morgues. They are having the refrigerated trucks come in, and a refrigerated truck has 5 units on each side, 4 levels, and there's 5 deep of these levels on both sides, and they can hold 40 bodies in these mobile morgues, which is crazy. And Idaho, COVID-19 was number one, the leading cause of death in Ohio in November. This is another reminder. I announced it on Wednesday, but again, COVID-19, the coronavirus, is the number one leading cause of death in the U.S. for this year. Has exceeded heart disease and cancer in the quantity of folks and the fatalities that we've seen thus far. States and cities are employing more, I don't want to say lockdowns, but more restrictions. So we have Baltimore has a temporary shutdown of restaurants and dining within that, bowling alleys, pool halls, and hookah bars. Apparently that's a really big thing in Baltimore. Ohio has pushed that curfew that had been in effect. They've now pushed it to the 2nd of January. Mississippi has employed stricter limitations on indoor and outdoor gatherings, and several more counties have come on board with mask mandates. Indiana, the governor ordered hospitals in the state to postpone or reschedule non-emergency procedures, and that is to take effect on next Wednesday. So the 16th of December through the 3rd of January, if you were scheduled for any elective surgery, this could be knee, hip replacement, something that is not life-threatening where you need a surgery. They are utilizing those staff for COVID patients, and they're keeping those spaces available for COVID patients. So that window is the 16th through the 3rd. That's a really, that's about a 2.5 week time frame that they're anticipating the increases in the need for those beds. In Oregon, I want to tell you about something that happened. And one of the things that is it's starting to happen. I'm seeing it in people that I have gone to and been educated by in conferences. Nobody in my master's or doctorate programs, but folks that are well-known natural healers and folks in the natural health world, as well as other parties, are highlighting false information about the vaccines. And there's this whole undercurrent of social media that is producing false information. And it is something that is being taken seriously by all of the medical boards, by all of the parties that keep us safe and require ethical, the ethics boards, and require ethical behavior from all of us who take oaths to do no harm. And one of the things that I want to highlight, just the seriousness of this, in Oregon, there was an oncology nurse who apparently went on TikTok and mocked the virus. And that led to her being reported to the nursing board in Oregon, and she has lost her license. Yesterday, she signed a consent form that she would not practice in the state of Oregon. Now, that does not limit her to practice in neighboring states. It doesn't limit her to get picked up by a staffing company and to be flown to Florida. But that is just the nature of where we're at. People, an oncology nurse knows better, and people are bringing in their false ideas, and they're taking the political stance into this space. But as a nurse, she shot it in the hospital. That also puts a challenge on the liability with the hospital. But that's just where we stand. And if you do see any of that misinformation, we call them whack-a-trolls, and Pat and I know Emily do a really good job of kind of whack-a-trolling here and monitoring. But if you see that creeping up on Facebook on Instagram, they now have spam monitors, and these social media companies are taking it seriously. So if you see false information, it's on us, to all of us, work together to eradicate this nonsense. There is a lot to learn about the vaccine. There's a lot to learn about some of the reactions that are occurring. And there's a lot that we don't know about this virus still. And so I just want to put that out there. A big thing that I do want to highlight, specifically moving on to the vaccine and where we are with the board that met yesterday. So the VRBPAC, it's an advisory committee separate from the FDA. I think there's 14 or 15 members. They voted. I know some professionals who actually presented to them and asked questions and asked for more transparency and dug into some of the questions that we talked about on Wednesday. Watch Wednesday's episode if you're curious about that. But the advisory committee, they approved moving forward for the FDA emergency use authorization. That doesn't mean that the vaccine's a go. There are still more steps. And that is something I want to highlight. We have a very stringent process. If you look at other countries, the UK, they're administering this vaccine. We have several stopgaps, and we have different bodies, non-partisan bodies who have no sort of financial, connection to the vaccine, that are looking at it strictly from data and statistical information and information about transparency and reactions and all these details. That group is one group. Then the FDA will actually give and vote for the approval. The CDC is also involved in this. And I don't know if you guys are totally aware of that as well, but the CDC will also weigh in terms of the administration, dosing, details on different age groups. All of that's really important. But I do want to highlight that the vote, it was 17-4, 17 for it, 4 opposing it, and 1 abstained. What I gather in the discussions, and it's all out there. If you guys want to watch a lot of the information, it is out there. The 4, there's a lot of dispute about the data. It also included 16 and older. So 16 and 17-year-olds were included in this profile. And so 18 and older is adult versions, but 16, 17, 2 years in the minor age category. And there was concern about that they didn't have enough, like this 16 and 17-year-olds in the group didn't match up, the quantity of folks in different age groups. And that was the underlying concern. So I want to highlight why there were 14 that were not for it. And so that's really the undercurrent there. The other thing that I do want to highlight is that, there's a lot of media is like, oh, they'll get vaccines out tomorrow. No, that's not happening. I don't have a date when the FDA is sitting down and voting. I don't have any dates on the CDC and their involvement in this, but we're probably looking at a week at minimum of this still happening. The other undercurrent is that we have Moderna that's going to go through the same process. So that vaccine actually has greater had been showing greater efficacy. I'm curious as they dig into the data if we're going to see even, it was 94. That was really high. We might even see 97, 98% efficacy in some cases. I don't know, but there's information with Pfizer that came out that was even more promising than had been reported. We might see that, but that will be coming out. Moderna is going to go through the same process. I do want to highlight in the UK, they are having folks that are having a small quantity, but there is a percentage of folks that are showing an allergic reaction to this. And we don't know why. It has been advised and in the documentation that if folks have severe allergies, like really intense allergies, especially if they've had allergic reactions to vaccines, they're not advising them to have that. And so that is something that is highly transparent. We don't know why, but it is out there. Okay, I want to share 3 other pieces of information. Probably won't get any light or airtime, but I think it's really important. There was a study specifically, and I posted it on my Facebook page yesterday. There was a study overseas, I think it was in Singapore, that they looked at outdoor dining and so dining in general, indoor, outdoor, that the capacity to catch the virus, the contagiousness of the virus, 5 minutes or less of eating, not being masked, consuming food, people, that was a massive point of spread. And that's really telling. Here in the US and here in Georgia, people are still eating indoors. We frequent and support our small local restaurants. I appreciate them as a small business owner. I know this is really tough. It's a holiday season. A lot of the holiday parties and catering is just, that line of business is gone. But you can still support your local restaurant. You can support them by taking out. And you can also support them by keeping them safe and healthy. And I just want to highlight that the two, you can support local and you can support your restaurants, and you can still have health and wellness, health and safety be at the forefront. It doesn't mean you have to go inside and eat. And that study, the way these kinds of things happen, we see studies overseas. It can take 6 weeks for that data to circulate and get in the heads of the bodies that be and that communicate guidelines. I'm just telling you that straight out the gate. We have clear, distinctive information that the community spread in an eating situation, eating inside and or outdoors, that's a fast point of spread. 5 minutes or less is what has been documented. So just take that for what it is, and hopefully you will choose wisely and appropriately for your own health and safety, also for the health and safety of your favorite restaurants, but continue to support them, and maybe now support them more than ever. Okay, now here's the other thing that they've identified. There was a study by the University of Massachusetts in Amherst about coronavirus spread within a car. And part of this was based on car sharing and taxis. And there were a lot of things that they looked at. But basically, the coronavirus, if somebody's in the car that has the virus, that within 15 minutes, the car has accelerated quantities of viral particulates in the air and on surfaces. Obviously, a car, depending on the car, there's small spaces. What they saw is that depending on the airstream, having windows down and having the driver and the passenger be in a diagonal setting was the best probability of limiting the spread. So I wanted to highlight that. And then another thing came out from, this was, I believe, from the University of Colorado. Oh, actually, there's another thing. There was another thing that came out. This is related to, I think 2.5 months ago, there was a report about classroom, where in the classroom is the safest. There's been another report that's highlighted that the most safe area in a classroom is the back corner, like the back left corner. For some reason, the airflow and the way processes, it's the safest corner to be in. But I also want to highlight something really interesting. Then we'll get to your Q&A. I want to make sure we've got lots of time for Q&A. Oh, thanks, you guys. I found this in my decorating. I don't know if you guys watched my first healthy holiday gift guide, I think of 2017. This was my headpiece. It's a poinsettia. I love it. So it hurts though. Like it's really tight in the back. I don't do headbands very well. But okay. So here's this really interesting piece of research coming out of the University of Colorado, where they have employed a scratch and sniff test. Now, this sounds like so insane, but it's very fascinating that one of the major underlying tells, the sign that you might have COVID, is you lose your sense of taste and smell. So the researchers at the University of Colorado, these kids put their heads together and said, well, what if we do some testing on that? And maybe is this a way to identify folks pre-symptomatic? Can we identify them before maybe even testing is able to identify them being sick with the virus? And so they went to town and put together a scratch and sniff test. Just reminds me of like the 80s, and we had scratch and sniff stickers, and I adored them. And so here we are. They have found in their clinical research that the scratch and sniff tests yield greater effectiveness than a PCR test in identifying individuals who have coronavirus. That is so wild to me. That's pretty amazing. I don't know when and if this is going to come out, but I think this is really fascinating from that perspective. So I just want to highlight that as some really fascinating, interesting news. And now I am going to see if I can get to, let me see if I can get to some of our questions. So Instagram, stick with me. I have to look into Instagram. For some reason, I can't find one of my iPads that gives me details on some questions. So hold on for 1 second. Stay with me, Instagram. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I can't leave Instagram. Never mind. Okay. So I do know that a lot of people ask questions on Instagram. So I want to answer them. The first one, I don't remember who it was, but somebody wanted to know, how do you detox after a breast explant? And so the big thing with breast explants is that, and this breast explant is for women who have breast implants, and it's causing breast implant disease. It's a disease from the silicone, and certain manufacturers have been proven that they can cause cancer and can cause all sorts of grief within the body. The best way to detox is to first nourish the body. So a lot of times folks have imbalances in all sorts of nutrients. I'm all about building up the body before fully detoxing. Part of that healing process, you're going to detox anyway, but I do that for about 3 to 4 months. And then we start to do some really intense detoxing, depending on if silicone has spread, if there was leakage, depending on the type of breast implant, the length of time it was there, the pathology of the implant. It's not uncommon for women to have massive scar tissue, for them to pathology of the scar tissue and the implant, and there's mold and all sorts of issues. So I do want to highlight that is really an important process. Okay, so now let me go to YouTube really fast. I usually have this up, but everything was running really slow. I was trying to find, I had Brian running around all over trying to find my sparkly pink mini iPad so I could answer all your questions very easily. All right, give me 1 minute here. Let's see. And ask away. And by the way, badges is on for all of you on Instagram. We had our badges. We had 4 people do badges on. Oh, it's not going to let me do that. Shoot. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me go to a different browser. For some reason, Chrome doesn't let me go into my studio. Actually, I might be able to go into my studio. Hold on 1 second. YouTube. Okay, so while I'm searching, I'm going to answer some questions. Okay, so okay. Okay, so Karen, hey Karen, she says, my husband is going from 3rd shift to 1st shift. I did buy the REM sleep for him. Can you give me any other advice to help him get his sleep pattern back? He worked 3rd shift for about 3 years. So that's going to be really intense. It's not going to happen immediately. What I would recommend is he also gets one of the lights, full spectrum lights that I highlighted in my gift guide. Have him sit in front of that for 10, 15 minutes in the morning. That'll balance the circadian rhythm. That's very impactful, and it naturally boosts those hormones. It's the most natural method on top of what you guys are doing. Okay, so let me see. And there is a special coupon code. I think it's I want to say 10 or 15% off, maybe more. Don't quote me on that. It's hard for me to keep up on all our discounts, but definitely regroup and watch that video for information. Amy Flores, what air purifier do you recommend? I actually have them linked down below. The UV air purifier through EnviroCleanse, link down below. You get 100 off with that link automatically. The UV filtration is awesome. It's amazing. And you want HEPA, you want several layers of HEPA, you want hospital grade type of filtration. You also want that in your home. And then you also want to add the UV element in there as well. Okay, so let me see if I can go to YouTube Studio. I put out a poll to, let me see, YouTube Studio. Here we are. Okay, so let me go. I'm going to take this off for a second. Oh, it hurts right behind my ears. I have like these little indents. Okay, so let me see. Oh, let's see. I'm answering your questions and you guys, first of all, I have a question for you guys. Do you guys like my behind the scenes? Instagram, let me know. So Instagram can't really see all of it, but I decorated over there. I have the white tree over there is my healthy tree. My healthy tree has all sorts of fruits and vegetables on it. So I don't know. I think YouTube, let me look. Let's see. I think you guys can see it. Yeah. So let me, right there, that tree right here, that has fruit. So you can't really tell, but there's like a green pepper, a watermelon. I have bananas. I have on my tree. This year on any shopping, so I'm sure the place where I get those probably has more. Oh, and we're buffering. Oh, darn it. Let's see. Let me shut that off. Okay. Okay, we're back. Okay, so going to questions. Thanks, Michelle, Jenny. You guys are great. Love the colors. Thank you. Yeah, these are branded colors. The tree is one of those box ones we used on the second holiday gift guide of 2018. Yolanda, what do I think about vaccines? Oh, what do you think about the vaccines? Well, in general, I think they're, they have a place and they're effective. I'm not anti-vax, so you're not going to find somebody who's totally against vaccines. I think that the ones that have sought for emergency use authorization, I think their effectiveness is highly promising. I've always said, like for the flu shot, it's not effective. If you've got 20, 30% effectiveness, that's just, it's not worth it. But when we're talking like 96, 98%, and we also have death tolls of 300,000, we're going to hit 300,000 today. We will have, 1/3 of a million people dead because of coronavirus. Yeah, I think this is highly effective. I, like everybody else, want to see more information about the youth. That's the challenge. We know they're more contagious. Their own immune system is built up. There may be some aspects where the vaccines are effective for them, but how does that limit the spread to, grandparents and, at-risk teachers? So that is one thing I am disappointed in, but I know, there's different age groups and different variables. And so, unfortunately, the US has gotten to a point where people have been in denial and stupid and selfish and not masking and not social distancing, that we're going to have to vaccinate our way through this. And I hate saying that. I would love for us to use all natural methodologies to do this. It's highly natural to put a mask on and to stay away from people and to not gather and to not have holidays, but people can't do that. So it's very frustrating that we now are going to be reliant on a vaccine and concerns or don't respond well, or even in the cases of a lot of my patients that have deep autoimmunity, lupus patients it's not always advisable for them to get vaccines. So they're at risk, and yet they're not going to be able to get a vaccine. And we're not there where even in 2020, in 2021, are we going to be beyond this? It's going to take a year and a half. Okay, so I've finally got up my comments. So let me go through some of the questions that came through. Taryn asked, "Hi, Dr. Melissa. I would like to know what I can take for a pulled muscle, as I was picking up a bag and pulled the muscle in my bottom." Okay, so rest, ice, elevation, sea bumblebee D, the hemp oil, CBD is actually, I said it, sea bumblebee D. Down below, there's a link. The liquid is 20% off with the code. And in my store, I have it. It's close. I can't reach it though. I have a cream that is really great for pain with the herbal infusion in it. And it will cool and numb the area, but also topically reduce inflammation. That's what I recommend. Depending on how intense the pull was, it could be a few days, sometimes a week or more, that you'll be down. Says, okay, let's see. Gives good general nutrition guidelines, not for the purpose of healing, but as starting to teach my kids from the well-known food pyramid. Yeah, so the food pyramid, when I work with families and they're looking at nutrition work, some folks are vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, paleo, and those pyramids are they're going to lean differently and look different depending on what nutrients you need. Eating a rainbow, I'm always a big fan of, because I think that tends to cover a lot of the bases. But let me think about that, Emily. I might have to post something to the community tab. Okay, Scott has a question. Have you seen reports of people having COVID-like symptoms, including long hauler symptoms, but they continue to test negative for COVID, yet their symptoms are definitely real? Yes. And a lot of that plays into what type of tests. Some of the tests that are being run are not PCR, and they're not looking at the serologic, the antibody testing. So that does occur. The other thing too is you can have incremental amounts of virus and it might not show up on some of the tests, and you might not be contagious, but you're still dealing with it. The lingering long hauler is a whole nother situation where the post-viral impact, like we see with Epstein-Barr, for instance, and that's how I got into this field, my own case of it. It was severe. That can linger and it could present symptoms, but they test negative. Fever, swollen glands and things like that, swollen lymph nodes. He said, also, I saw a report saying COVID sufferers should stay away from histamine foods, which include avocado and spinach. I don't know these two health foods had histamines. What's your knowledge in this? So there are certain foods that will trigger a histamine response. It all depends on your own body chemistry. So I really try and have nutrition be individually focused, because your biochemistry, your microbiome, and then obviously your viral biome play a role in how your body responds to food. But overall, inflammatory related foods like sugar, caffeine, alcohol, high fat, high processed foods, and high fat meaning like unhealthy, animal protein, are going to bog down your system, and they can cause inflammation. Some folks need to delve deeper, and they've got other related sensitivities like gluten and casein. Underlying all of the kind of COVID, histamine and cytokine storm response is the gut, and you have to heal your gut. And I just put it on my shelf over there. At the end of the day, to heal your gut, I recommend anybody, this across the board, we should all be doing this. Colostrum therapy will lower your inflammation levels. It also helps build up the IgG antibodies. And there's an assortment of antibody development, also growth factors that can help limit some of those histamine responses. It also modulates the immune response when the cytokine storm is triggering. We've also seen B cell and T cells also be greatly enhanced and benefited by the use of colostrum therapy. I actually, on Monday, I'm going to be a guest again on the Facebook page for Sovereign Labs. They're the colostrum brand that I work with. And we're going to talk about the immune system, the gut, and immune modulation as it relates to colostrum therapy specifically. And so that's actually live. It's very interactive. So I'll dig more into that. Okay, so Eileen says, last April, there was a study of MS patients that suggested that vitamin D doses of 10,000 IU or more interfered with melatonin production in the pituitary. With COVID-19 pressure and other enthusiasm for vitamin D, she said she's increased her dose of 10,000 and she was sunbathing in the summer. So when I read the study, I stopped the supplements, continued to sunbathe. She said within 2 weeks, my nighttime urination went from once an hour to 0 to 2 times per night. She said, my theory is that I was not reaching a deep enough state of sleep to reduce nighttime urination production. She checked with her oncologist, said everything's okay. Do I know of any other or larger studies looking at vitamin D relationship to sleep stages? There are. So vitamin D does have a relationship to sleep. As far as melatonin and pituitary production, that is kind of interesting that you had that response. So I would also like to be as informed as possible when it's related to a conversation with the urologist about not taking a drug he recommended that might affect my blood potassium. Sleep is so critical. It impacts our immune system. Let's see. Okay, so I'd have to dig more into the research specifically, but vitamin D, I mean, you can have an overwhelm of vitamin D. The other thing is if you're taking 10,000, I don't know how long you've been taking it, get your D tested. We don't want you to go too high. And sometimes people can elevate too quickly. So that would be one thing I would take a look at. Stephanie says, what would you recommend to lower blood pressure levels lower blood sugar levels for someone with type 2 diabetes? I'm trying to help a friend out. I suggested cinnamon. So, one, find out what's going on, what their levels are. This is something clinically, like cinnamon is beneficial, but there's so much deeper, so much more inflammatory markers. So much more is going on internally. Cortisol is a factor. It's not always about diet and eliminating sugar. It's about balancing the inflammatory response within the body. And minerals are really critical. Chromium and selenium are critical for anybody who has type 2 diabetes. And then she also asked, have you heard of taking melatonin if someone gets COVID? So I actually have a whole video on that. I did a live show with melatonin. I'll reference that specifically. And then Blessed Indeed says, I had bad shoulder pain from stretching too much. It started hurting when I started taking vitamin D3. Is there anything I can do at home to it? So this is really interesting. If you guys are having muscle aches and stiffness due to vitamin D3, I'd check your source. You shouldn't have a response to vitamin D3. So it might be the type, the vitamin brand, might be if it's a fish oils are rancid. So check what you're taking. High quality D is worth the money to eliminate those reactions. Okay, I think I answered all those questions. Okay, let's go to everybody. Okay, so I'm going back to my live. I'm juggling a lot of screens here. Hold on one second. All right, here we are. Okay. Hey, Clive is on. Okay, and Pat's doing so great. Thank you so much, Pat. Okay. Yeah, the Colostrum brand, there's a link down below for YouTube if you want to grab the brand I recommend. Okay, let's see here. Let me go back. Margaret. Hey, Margaret. She says she had a friend in Brussels who had no sense of smell or taste when he had COVID. Yeah, that is a super, super common symptom. All right. JLS says, just found out I have a gallstone. Do not want surgery. Any natural ways to help shrink or eliminate? 1 centimeter and it's stuck in the neck. Yikes. Okay. So that can be really painful. I recommend really intense liver detoxing. I feel like I have this in a protocol. I just can't remember which one. And I think it's a free protocol. So I've written a lot of free protocols, and I have the digital ones that you can buy. Sometimes they blend together. I know I've written it. Maybe it was in my Fall into Balance guide, but there is a liver gallbladder detox that you can do that will instantly work to flush the bile ducts and get the gallstones moving. Depending on the size, you can have small incremental gallstones or bile duct stones, and they can cause pancreatitis. So it's very serious. We all have them. 85% of Americans have gallstones, or actually 85% of all adults. Depending on what you're eating, can be a factor. And then also depending on if your pancreas is producing enough lipase, the enzyme to digest fat. When that is lacking, that's often where we see a lot of the buildup of gallstones. So, one, take lipase. You need to help your body digest fat better, and you get less storage in the gallbladder. The thing is when you remove a gallbladder, within 5 or 6 years, the body makes another one. And it sounds crazy. It's not a new gallbladder, but it makes a reservoir. The challenge is when you have your gallbladder removed, it is a critical organ, despite what, they remove appendixes, like, oh, you don't need that. You do need it. And, oh, you don't need a gallbladder. Oh, you do need it. The gallbladder keeps bile, which is a very base substance, and it contains it. And then your body uses it as it needs it to digest. Bile is what gives your bowel movement, our poop, the dark color. So that can be a big indicator. If you have like caramel color or even a lighter color bowel movement, that's an indication you're not producing enough bile, or there might be a bile blockage. So liver detoxing, dandelion, milk thistle, I'd recommend that. There's actually some really good gallstone liver detoxers in my Full Script store. Check that out. There's a link in for YouTube right now in the description. You get 10% off everything. So check that out. Okay, Donna. Hey, Donna, so cute and snazzy. The flower choice for my friend who passes a poinsettia with her for today's family funeral. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. 6 or 7 of them. Upstairs, I didn't know with our holiday gift guide if I'd use them. I ended up having 3, I think, or 4 on set, but I have a ton. I forgot they're upstairs. They're in the room that finally, we've had all sorts of issues with our closet company. They're coming back out to measure the closet. We're going to get one of these like swanky walk-in pre-made closets. I've always had the closets like, the traditional ones, the wire ones. We are going to actually get a nice one where we'll have drawers and it'll all be really organized. Hopefully. I'm really bad about that. So I have somebody coming out today. I have to move my poinsettias. That's why I was thinking about that. I have like 8 poinsettias in my closet, the closet that Brian's made, and we're going to replace the flooring in the next week or 2. Okay, so Shelby Williams, can rebounding improve spider veins? So rebounding can move the lymphatics. Spider veins, once they are there, they're often very rich because your body has created this new vascular channel. So, this is where I get into my discussion about like vein surgeries. A lot of times, and I've had my one vein issue. It's very much stress related. It's seasonal. And it also goes along with stress and some of my blood pressure levels. So right now, everything's all good. That vein is like non-existent, but I can sometimes see it there. It's more of a varicose vein, but not like I've had a Doppler and all that good stuff. But the spider veins, they occur because of vascular insufficiency. And sometimes it's the beginning stages of it. Things that you can do. Don't cross your legs. Don't put undue pressure on the leg. And I'm uncrossing my legs as I'm like sitting here because I always cross my legs. It is very much a hereditary thing. Sometimes you can't get rid of them because it's in your DNA. There are a lot of things you can do to prevent them, but once they occur, unless you do some sort of laser treatment, and I don't advise that. We just like gallbladders and appendixes, we need our veins. And, when you get them removed or they, kill a vein channel, the body creates new ones. And that's how these vein centers, they stay in business because they kill one vein channel and guess what? The body makes a new one. Vascularity is critical and cutting that off is just absolutely insane. Okay. Markets of Sunshine says, I took the John Hopkins course on contact tracing for coronavirus. It's very enlightening. Oh, that's really cool. So my question to Markets of Sunshine, are you doing contact tracing? That is a huge problem right now. Some states are just totally overwhelmed. They're not even getting maybe one of like 50 people who've been in contact with others. And, one of the things that we've missed out here in the US that other countries really did well in staving off the community spread is having these virtual apps and things on the phone that could alert people. Okay. Hey, Kelly says, question about proper dosing of moringa. I have the powder pills and elixir. What of these products should I take? So all of them you can take, depending on the dosing. Like I put my powder in our baked goods. I'll sometimes put my powder in I have a muesli, this really yummy muesli mix, with all sorts of seeds and stuff. And I will put it in with my mushroom blends, but then I will take the liquid and the pill. So I take it throughout the day. And so you could incorporate it in that way. I hope that's helpful. Let's see. Oh, we got more questions. Okay. Michelle, does colostrum remove biofilms? So I'd say not specifically, but what it does have, colostrum, so going back to colostrum and what it does do, it delivers prebiotics and probiotics. And and enzymes. So it has enzymes. It's nature's first food. And if you breastfed as a baby, the first food that you got from your mother's breast before her milk even came in, there's a big difference. And if you breastfed, you know the difference. The breasts feel totally different with colostrum versus milk production. That first food is what sets the tone for the baby's digestive process. It also delivers all these micronutrients, prebiotics, probiotics. It sets up the stage for a healthy immune response. And it's a protective nutrient. It's a protective food. So fast forward to like today, we have a lot of gut imbalances. We have autoimmunity. We've got inflammation. We all need colostrum. If you've ever had a dose of antibiotic, if you had a dose of steroids, at any point in your life, you need colostrum therapy. If you weren't breastfed, as I fall in that category, you need colostrum therapy. And you can take it every day. And you can take it for as long as you want to. It can be therapeutic. You can have maintenance dosing. We can get really specific. And I'm certified in colostrum therapy. So really dig further into all of that. But specifically, as far as biofilms are the byproduct of pathogens, and it allows certain pathogens like Lyme and bacteria to hide from the immune system. And the enzymes, and there's such an exorbitant amount of enzymes, some of those enzymes do digest the biofilms. I don't have specific scientific research about that in front of me. I can't speak right off the cuff in terms of the details on it, but it does have good nutrients to help limit biofilms. The other thing that it does is it delivers antibodies. It delivers what we call immunoglobulins like IgG, IgM, IgF. It delivers all of these immunoglobulins that help your immune system naturally respond to a pathogen, a virus, a bacterial invasion, a fungal invasion. So when it comes to that, it helps, colostrum helps make your, as Gabriel would say, helps make your gut become a ninja. So it helps it target those areas. So through several different elements, enzymes, and then the immunoglobulin factors, it can help eliminate those. But it's not like a compound that, take colostrum to eliminate biofilm. There are some specifics that we go for, but across the board, it's delivering all of the major things you need to eliminate biofilm, is to eliminate these pathogens, and that it does. It is very potent. I really do believe, I put colostrum therapy on my version 2.0 of my pandemic wellness guide, which, by the way, I have a direct link. If you guys want to get that, it's a free download. It's on there. I put it on there because I really feel it's very important. Lady Owl 320. Hello. How would you like to know your opinion on ashwagandha. I like ashwagandha. I think it's a wonderful adaptogen. I think it's very potent. It is very powerful in bolstering our immune response and helping us respond to stress. It is something I don't always advise for folks that might have autoimmunity, particularly thyroid, any element or maybe suspected element of Hashimoto's. I don't advise it. But I do like it. And you're going to find it, here's the other thing, we get into like manufacturing processes and ingredients. It's an inexpensive ingredient. So you are going to find it in a lot of like immune boosting products because it's inexpensive. And so it gets touted as like a really good immune booster. There are a lot of other ones that are really potent as well, but ashwagandha is really common. Kelly, by the way, love the cupping. Yay, I've been doing it for a week and see a difference in my facial skin and clog glands. Awesome. I love that. Yay, facial cupping. I think today, I have a social media helper. I think she's posting some of the video of me doing the cupping. I think that's on the agenda for today or tomorrow. Brian keeps saying my looks really good. And, I did all my demos. And, I did several takes of like the cupping, and it's something that I wasn't doing every day. Like I wouldn't do 3 segments of cupping because it's too much in a day. And I didn't want to, cause any of the things that I recommend not to do, like don't overcup and, cup like every other day or whatnot. So I think I'm getting some of that collagen buildup, and, I still have a lot of that from that one procedure I did, the laser treatment in March of 2019. Yeah, it seems like forever ago. But yay, Kelly, I love that. And microneedling, I love microneedling, Pat. And gua sha is another one that I need to do a tutorial for. Aaliyah wants me to do some work with them in gua sha. Gua sha is one of these things where, like, one, I see a lot of people doing it improperly and in not the right way online, which is really challenging. I also saw that a lot with cupping, and it was really making me mad. That's one of the reasons why I went into doing a tutorial. Like there are people that would just start like up here, or they target here and not clear the lymphatics. And that just totally defeats the purpose, but it also is damaging. So I'm glad you like that. Thank you for that feedback. Christine loves my decorations. See, I have up here, that is my my wellness center elf. Her name is Miss Holly Mistletoe. We had a contest in, I think it was 2010 to name our elf. And so she is still here with us. She doesn't move around like Gabriel's Jack. Miss Holly Mistletoe is a working elf. And so we've had to make that distinction in our family, which, by the way, the elf didn't move like twice because we've been a little naughty in our household. So that's been really challenging for any of you elf folks. One time I forgot it, but he was also not, he was being really difficult. And so I just said, he didn't go home to Santa because you were not listening and paying attention. So, but I will tell you guys on the front of Gabriel and everything, he's not listening because he's in class, but we are scheduled to get our little Daegu babies. He has asked for hamsters. And I've done all this research, and hamsters, the things that he wants, like general hamsters are like not social, and they're nocturnal, and they don't get really big, and it just didn't seem appealing. So I did all this research, and I found this Chilean type of rodent that looks like a hamster, but they get really big. They get like this big. So they'll sit in your hand and they get to about that tall. And so we have 2 female babies that are going to be coming to us. They actually are flying here. It sounds insane. And so they're coming to us, and Brian's building their cage. And there's like certain types of wood that would be toxic to them, like if they chewed it. And so they're going to get some swanky, like designed out cage. We're going to chart out like the design. They eat special food. They actually, this is exciting, they eat dandelion and rose hips. I'm so excited. And marigold. So I might end up having like a little daegu garden in the spring in my garden for them. We're really excited. He is so like looking forward to this. So, and they can be litter box trained. So I'm crazy excited. So follow me on Instagram. Okay, you guys have sound. Okay, so follow me on Instagram, because I'm going to be showing you guys in stories starting today. Brian's got the frame all kind of laid out. But they're super cute, a tan color, so they look like hamsters. But they're more like a hamster meets a gerbil the size of a guinea pig, if that makes sense. And they are not nocturnal. They actually are awake during the day. And so we're going to train them. I'm so excited. So I want a cat. I'm not ready. And so this is like the replacement for me. So the other thing too that's fun is that they're really affectionate, and they're kind of like sugar gliders, where they really need companionship. And so people wear them. So you might see a daegu on one of our live shows in January, just FYI. I'm working on Gabriel, trying to get him to think of a good name. He has ABC Mouse, and he has all these like crazy names like BB and Trucky Duffy and whatever. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. We have Karmag Dorji. Says this is Karma from Bhutan in the Himalayas. Yay. Oh, I love the Himalayas. Didn't get to Bhutan, but I was in Nepal for a month when I was in my early 20s. Love that area. And actually that's, I want to take Gabriel when he turns 18 out to Nepal and do a hike. We want to hike I think the Annapurna Circuit is what I want to do with him. Okay. Let's see. You guys are so sweet. Oh, you think Tiffany and Company. Oh, that's really cool. So it's literally, this is all just stuff I've had, and it's all the brand color. This used to be the coloring, like that coloring right there. That used to be the color in our Tampa house downstairs. So I've just blended it in. I just love it. But the Holly Jolly Avenue, I've had that since our first gift guide. And then those little guys I've had. So, and I don't know if you guys can see, I'll point like right there for Instagram and right here for YouTube. I had this, it's this really cute yoga mat. So it's like our brand colors, the yoga mat. And by the way, I'm going to choose some lucky winners to win our 2020 holiday ornament. So I have the green ones that we're giving away this year. So make sure you comment on the video on the replay. Okay, another question. Colloidal silver. Ask me, what about colloidal silver? I do like it. I think it's beneficial. Don't make it on your own is definitely one of the things I advised. And let's see, what other questions? Dosing of moringa. Took your advice, not sure how much to take. So trying to think, I think like 500 milligrams is the average dose. Anywhere from 375 to 400 it has been what has been researched. So if you achieve that once or twice a day, you're doing really fine. The powder is something that like I don't do a whole dose in my yogurt. I just add like not a dash, but enough of it. So that I just constantly am getting the micronutrients. Okay, so it says like check colostrum down below in your description, but still unsure which one. So the one to get, actually, hold on one second. I'm gonna grab for you. You guys will see. I have to tell you, this dress that I'm wearing, this is like a t-shirt dress. It's an Aldi dress. And by the way, they have them still today. Okay, hold on. They have the color, they have a green and a really pretty purple. Hold on one second. Let me grab it for you. Okay, so, okay. Let's see, I've got you can't really see it here. Let me go back to here. They have these like sparkle tights. Fun. Okay. All right, let me show you. Okay, so the colostrum that you want to get is they have an assortment of things to choose from. Not a whole lot. Like they have like six or seven lines. They have a baby line. They have children. They also have a pet one. We give the girls colostrum. We have 3 dogs. But this is the one to get. So it's the Pro Colostrum and then -LD. LD means liposomal delivery. And this is one of the reasons why I love this brand. They quality control every batch, and they tested to make sure it is colostrum and not breast milk. Meaning not like this is coming from a bovine source, and there's a big difference between colostrum, that is a different entity that exits out of a mammary gland, than milk, the actual milk production. So this is quality controlled, and they actually have stats in terms of the quantity of items in here. So like this is bovine colostrum, 25 to 30% of its potency. It has the immunoglobulins. There's 1.5% lactoferrin. That's awesome too for any of you who might have anemia. 1.5% growth factors. That's IG1, IGF. And then it also has 3.5% collagen peptides. And they also have a bioidentical polypeptide. I'll often combine this. This is a powder. So this is squishy. It's powder pack. There are 90 servings in this, and a serving size is 2 teaspoons. So this would last you 3 months if you just did 2 teaspoons a day, 2 teaspoons at night in 4 to 6 ounces of water. If you were to do more therapeutic dosing, you might do it more frequently. So this will last a while. And the powder is what I recommend. The critical aspect here is colostrum needs to be taken on an empty stomach. You want to take it as if you were a baby and it's your only food source, meaning empty stomach, no exposure to any other liquid beverage other than what you're mixing it in with. So it's 4 to 6 ounces of water, and that's how you consume it. And it's awesome, awesome stuff. The company is just, it's a small company, but it's a really potent brand. The company is just, it's amazing. And so I'm honored to work with them because it's not always, you think a lot of companies are reputable and have really good processes and have the right ethos. That doesn't always happen. And so I'm always really much trying to align us with those types of brands. Emily says, my outfits inspire her to reach your goal weight. Thanks. You're so sweet. So unfortunately, not having a closet, I feel like I'm recycling the same outfits. So I have to apologize. I do have winter outfits. They're just like in 5 different places and all boxed up. Okay, Donna, Dr. Melissa, massive brain bleeds. What causes them? My friend who passed was diagnosed with AFib recently. More of this happened. Okay, so, my question, Donna, is, I don't want to say she, but I just have a sense it's a female, but did your friend have COVID? COVID causes AFib. Underlying also are all sorts of strokes, and brain bleeds can be from an assortment of things: strokes, lipid levels that cause vascular challenges, sometimes too much blood thinners, too much of a blood thinning. Some folks kind of have that predisposition. The other thing we are seeing with COVID specifically, we're seeing the breakdown of the blood-brain barrier. And that is, it's like leaky gut, but in the brain. And, I'm going to call it leaky brain. It is putting a lot of people in a bad state. Okay, so Pat says, oh, by the way, you can sign up for auto ship. Pat signed up and it drops the price. So just FYI, I'm all about saving money. They actually ran a special. I posted for you guys, just trying to offer their sale. I think that sale is over. Karen, are you planning on taking the COVID vaccine when it becomes available? Yes. I don't know which one. That's the other challenge, is the US didn't step up and get a lot of Pfizer's doses. So they're going to make like 100 million and then we're not going to get anything for like 6 months. So, the other idea, I didn't mention this, but the idea that we kind of think like, oh, they're going to be coming off of the line and like shipping out. No, that's not going to work. They're going to be fulfilling orders in other countries. And the US has the least amount of doses secured through Pfizer. So, but yes, I will, primarily because Brian has no spleen. He was born with a really crazy platelet-related autoimmune disorder. And it's called ITP. Basically, his body, the autoimmunity that he has, his immune system attacks his platelet levels, and they can drop to deadly levels, like near zero levels. And it can cause all sorts of challenges. So yes, for my family to keep us healthy and safe, absolutely. But I don't have a condition where I qualify. So that's the big question is, he will probably be in that first line of folks being vaccinated. He works doesn't work with, but we have a hematologist oncologist. That's the professional medical category that works with this unique autoimmunity. And so they early on, they were seeing really bad instances of COVID within this category. So, we are on lockdown to keep him protected. And then, when he was 6, they removed what they thought would be one spleen. He actually had 5 cystic spleens. It was I think it was 5 or 6, but, so, and he's this weird abnormality within the autoimmune function, this autoimmune category. Like a lot of times people have bruising, like when his platelet levels go down, we don't know. So it's just really bizarre. We ended up figuring out I had the flu in the winter of 2017 when we moved up here, and I told him to go to the walk-in clinic, and he went, and he called me and said, did they take your blood? And I said, no. And he said, well, they did mine, and they're telling me I need to go to the ER, that his levels had been really low. And he ended up being there at a local ER or ICU, not ICU, but a local hospital for like 4 days, and they do infusions, platelet transfusions, all the, and just crazy stuff. So we're really careful. And so, yes, that is really big. Will I let Gabriel take the vaccine? So I have a 5-year-old, and right now they're not even, right now, the children related trials won't be completed until 2022. So that's not even an option for parents. So, I'm going to have to wait and see how it all shakes out, all the details, all the research that just like, this body that met yesterday, all the information that they got. We will work closely with his Tampa-based pediatrician. He's more in line with my background. And he's actually an educator at the med school in Tampa. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for sure, the other thing too is, as I think it's 85% of individuals get, once we get to an 85% quantity of Americans vaccinated, that's when we'll start to see more of that herd immunity. And so it might be protective of children like Gabriel and the other kids, but we are not there yet, friends. Okay, fractured fairy tales. Good morning, Dr. Melissa. Any advice for dry throat after having tonsillectomy? So dry throat, So, with like tonsillectomy, I'd ordinarily say, let me think about this. What I would do, I would grab some oral probio. That's an oral probiotic. I can link that. Let me just write this down. Oral probio. I would grab that, and I would just keep your throat hydrated, overhydrate. You've got open wounds. And so, a lot of times they'll cauterize, but you still have wounds. And so I'm really cautious. I wouldn't do any gargles or anything just yet. If anything, I do like a colloidal silver spray, and that would be it for the time being. So that's probably not helpful, but just stay really well hydrated. Let's see. Christine, she started moringa and smoothies, and my stomach started growling like crazy next morning, like really loud. And the question is, what part of your digestive process is growling? Sometimes it'll be the small intestine, and moringa can be really beneficial for your gut, your digestive lining. So, okay, let me see what else. I know we've got more questions. You're welcome, Fractured Fairy Tales. I love the little fairy. And thanks, Pat, for using our emoji. You guys, I made us a Christmas emoji that you can use in the emojis. Hey, Freddie. Freddie's on. He said he finally made it. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you, Freddie. Oh, and Happy Hanukkah to all of our friends celebrating Hanukkah. I didn't get to wish you guys a Happy Hanukkah yesterday because we didn't have our show, but I posted on Instagram. Let's see. Instagram. Hey, Instagram. Lady L. Okay, let's see here. Curly Coils 49. What do you suggest as a wine alternative? I like cider. I like sparkling cider as an alternative. Cider comes from the apples. Actually, the fermentation of apples, we see that in apple cider vinegar. In the days before there were wineries here in the US, that actually was kind of, even before beer, they would drink cider. So I go with cider, sparkling cider. Let's see, Michelle, I wish Octagon had a special still. I take it every day and you're almost out. Oh my gosh, that special was an insane deal. But my coupon is 20% off. So at least you can save some that way. But yeah, they were doing like buy one, get 30% off, buy two, 40% off, and 50% off. Insane, stocked up. And I will tell you, this is the one thing I love, and you can see it's well used here. They have their hemp balm. Oh gosh, it smells great. So see, we're almost out on this one. I've got more back upstairs. And I have not decorated upstairs. Brian's been using my office, so I need to give him some holiday love up there. I'm going to do that later. Okay, so let's see. I missed it. Went out. Did you say sparkling? Yeah. So sparkling apple cider, or like an apple cider. I'm trying to think of different brands. Now cider's in. And so like I saw one of the brands has this pear secco. It's like pear blend with apple cider. Really nice. We actually did, we rarely do chicken. But when I do them, I buy the like little small bird. And so Brian did like one of those beer can chickens with the pear secco on it. It was awesome. That's like the last time we ate chicken. That was over a month ago. So we don't eat a whole lot of meat in our household. Lots of animal protein, or lots of plant protein, not animal protein. Let's see. Okay. Emily said, sounds okay. So she's recommending quality settings with the video. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So hopefully, Cynthia, I answered your question. But if you weren't breastfed, colostrum for sure, you should totally grab. And it's so good. I put it on my little holiday stand over there. So, Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. So yeah, so if you guys love, I see people loving this outfit. Aldi, I got it last year. They're back. They're back right now. So okay. Aldi. If you guys can go, obviously be really safe. Wear your glasses. I wear my goggles and my mask. And like, I bring all my stuff and sanitize everything. So Aldi has really great robes, beautiful robes. I get my robes from Aldi. I have a robe collection. I'm not allowed anymore, but go and I will shop vicariously through you. Message me when you get them. But they also have these dresses. And so this is like a long t-shirt dress. It's a thicker material. It's actually really nice. They have those there. I think they're like $9.99. And they also have they've got great pajamas. They've got kid pajamas and family pajamas. We love their stuff. It's really inexpensive, really high quality. So yeah, Aldi. Oh, and for all of you private members on YouTube, check out the video I posted. And if you guys want to be part of our private YouTube community, it's $4.99 a month. It gets you a little like emoji logo thing. And depending on how long you've been a member, you have different emojis. You get up to, I think we have a silver or a pink glitter emoji. But I posted the first of my full script hauls. And so that was the cyber sale. Just like you guys, I stock up for us and I posted items I got for Gabriel and some things I got for myself for deeper immune boosting. And then a few others that will end up being a part of our shows next week. Hey, Sewing Queen. So let's see. I think I might have covered all your questions. Oh, hold on. Let me see. I feel like I missed one. I missed one. I feel like I missed one about a mastectomy. Let me see. And thanks you guys for being on here with me. Gua sha microneeded. Do we rotate all three? You can. I wouldn't microneedle too much. Like I'd microneedle every I do it once a month. When I microneedle, I use this really intense plant-based stem cell serum that just goes into the skin. That is really amazing. I think I detailed that a year ago or so. And it can hurt. So, the things that we do for our face and our skin health is not always pleasant sometimes, but the microneedling just invigorates collagen production. Collagen, and you can do it down here to tighten up the neck as well. Does Aldi have a website to buy online? No, I wish they did. They don't. You still have to go there. You can have it delivered, but here's the thing that I find, and like I go in for Aldi finds, and like I go into there's like 2 sections, and like I go in and then I'm out. And I search my little like guide. It kind of tells you like every Wednesday is when they put out their orders, but sometimes Tuesday, depending on your area, they might have Wednesday sale stuff, Wednesday's items, the Aldi finds out on Tuesday afternoon. So just a little heads up, that might actually be your way to get in. But like some of the things that are really cool, like they've got the watches. Last year, I got Gabriel's class. They were $4.99, these cute like little character watches. They're back again this year. They got a little bling to them and they light up a little kind of different like little light thing. They were $4.99. And seriously, the kids, apparently it was like the best gift they'd all gotten. They all still wear these character watches. They have Frozen, they have Paw Patrol, they have Spider-Man, Batman, and then they've got some other girl stuff that we don't watch in our household, but $4.99. It's a steal. And I know outside of Aldi, they're like a $15 or $20 value. So they have some good stuff. And then they also have great kids stuff. Like they have some like exclusive Hot Wheels toys this year. And they also have really good learning toys and stuff, depending on the age, house goods. So definitely, if you're a member on YouTube, check out the community tab. I have members only videos that I create for you. They're totally edited. You know, I shoot mostly in my halfway torn up kitchen. And I shared some of the finds that I got. And one, like the other day, the full script haul, I posted this awesome wooden piece. And I think that's another awesome find. So if you guys love that, let me know. Let's see. Okay, so thanks everybody for tuning in. I think, let's see, Misty, what's causing neurological issues with post-COVID? It's the neuro-COVID. There's 3 levels of neuro-COVID. The latter level is so overwhelming that the blood-brain barrier gets broken. And so that's where we see a lot of the neurological issues. We also have receptivity. ACE2 receptors are in the brain. COVID attacks the brain cells. It is, and this is something too, like people say, oh, well, it doesn't, it has a low fatality rate. Okay, that's fine. You might not die of it, but you might have neurological issues. I'm not interested in signing up for that. I'm not interested in signing up for AFib. I know nobody voluntarily says, oh yeah, okay, I'm willing to take a risk on getting AFib. So, those are the undercurrents of like the post-COVID syndrome, that when people are not masking and they're not social distancing and they're just being very self-centered, selfish, and counter, I don't want to say counterculture because it's a huge population, but they're being told what to do. They're acting like my toddler acts. They're not thinking about the longer term. And, I don't know how we in the clinical world communicate this more than putting pictures of what it's looking like in hospitals. But many people won't end up in a hospital. That doesn't mean that they won't end up with underlying health conditions and new diagnoses and need for medication or dialysis, or, you're going to have brain fog forever, or you're going to be debilitated and you're going to have paralysis of your left leg, and we don't know, there's no rhyme or reason how and why that hits certain people, other than we know there are some biomarkers. So just challenging. Very frustrating. Misty says, my friend can't walk after it. Yeah. So, neurologically, it's very much like a stroke, and I don't have any data. There's nothing that we know for sure is working with COVID, but, I would recommend, checking out Periwinkle. Periwinkle is really great for post-neuro imbalances, from stroke. And so that can sometimes help minimize some of that, like post-brain bleed and stroke type of brain damage. There is brain damage if we've got a bleed. Also the dips in oxygen levels, that's causing brain damage. And we say that you can have brain damage and still be a functioning, or still be alive, but you will have, areas or segments of the brain that are not functioning optimally. So that's one thing that we see. So with regard to that, the other thing is there's a lot of inflammation, a lot of brain stem related inflammation. So lowering the inflammation levels. Again, that's where I go back, like colostrum can lower the inflammation within the body. And it has IGF-1, IGF-2. These are 2 growth factors that actually help cellular rejuvenation. So Misty, check out the colostrum. It's linked down below, but for your friend, there's a lot of layers that have to be targeted and addressed. Anything we can take prior to vaccines that can be preventative. Yes, check out my free download. I detail a whole lot of it, colostrum being one of them. Basically every show, I'm recommending things that can be impactful. Some have some scientific background. Oh gosh, Instagram just cut off. Okay. So, oh good, you ordered the colostrum. Okay, so Instagram went away. Oh, I hope it saved it. Oh no. I wonder if it's because I hit a 90-minute mark. Okay, well, that's a bummer. Yeah, it didn't. I don't know what happened. Usually it lets me save it, but okay, well, that show disappeared. It's on YouTube. So, but okay. I was told that my friend's heart gave out the next morning. I'm sorry to hear that. Is there a supplement blend with Periwinkle? Not that I'm aware of, but you'd have to search. Sometimes it's hard. Like I know when I'm hunting for, kind of sometimes I forget the name or brand. I'm hunting, I can click, like for instance, in FullScript, I can search by ingredient and it'll pull up. But Periwinkle, like I would do Herb Farm, liquid herbals. Herb Farm's great. Awesome herbs. Liquid herbs. I love liquid herbs. Periwinkle, that's the way to go. Okay, I've got to run. It's 10:30. I got to go up and do my mommy teaching assistant duties. And the closet lady's coming at 11. So I got to pull my poinsettias down. Okay, so wish me luck that we get an install date on our closet, hopefully sooner than later. I can see all my clothing again. And follow me on Instagram. I'm going to post a lot of Instagram stories. I'm going to share with you like the little corners of decorations that I have going on. And Pat, reminder, show notes are in the description box below. Please give this a thumbs up. Hit the share button. Go back and comment on the video. And I will be choosing an assortment of winners. So I don't know how many, but I'm going to choose a lot of you. And I'm going to send you these today. And I think it's Lucianne, you've got an ordering out today. For some reason, there's one thing that I didn't have, but it's heading to you in the mail. So you'll see that soon. Okay. Bye, you guys. Have a great Friday. And thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your time and be safe, be well. And I'm sure we'll have more details and more information to share on Monday. Bye, everybody.